Good morning. I think the title of this one today is When All Else Fails, Oxygenate. And there's a science behind that. Mindful meditation works for people with all sorts of problems: post-traumatic stress, children who are misbehaving in school, stress, home adversity. Ooh, why does it work? Well, we want to practice the long neck, loose jaw, loose shoulders to enable it to work. That's part of the science. We can use our mechanical breath to literally help us pull in this is like a working mechanical tool to help us get a nice, good, deep breath. This is the same breath that saves the people in COVID-19. Those who are on a ventilator, or actually before they get on a ventilator, if they're lying in bed and they're like getting sicker and sicker, and the chest is getting worse and worse, the shoulders are yanking in to breathe this way. This is the upright breath. And it's the breath that's closest to us being able to expunge the toxins and the accumulated phlegm and et cetera in the lungs. So this is a breath we need. You can feel it's right in that area that it all comes out. So when we're lying on our back, it collects, all of that is drawn through gravity into the back. We don't want to do that. We don't want the back. The back is an area of large oxygen transfer, like this. We can try to put it in the back. My jaw got tight. My neck's a little tight, and my shoulders aren't going anywhere. They're tight too. Ugh, we don't want that. We want long neck, loose jaw, relaxed shoulders, like we're smelling something. My favorite perfume, Mr. Jimmy Choo. It needs to settle in a while before I can really, but here's my favorite. There it is, after it sits for a minute. My shoulders are very relaxed. My jaw is very relaxed. My neck is no problemo. So that's the aromatherapy breath. There are many ways we can practice this conscious breath, and we need to practice it because guess what? When we're conscious, we need breath. Why do we need breath? Because we have evolved in an environment that triggers our breathing left, right, center, up, down, backwards. Right now, I'm in this plastic room. Nothing's moving, nothing's living. And there's nothing really for me to respond to. So I have to perfume up. I have to have hand cream that helps me do it. Gives me some, something to do with my hands too. This is a vibration. This is a stimulus. Out in the environment, we would use our hands to do all sorts of things. Stimulus, aromatherapy, but we also have the mechanical breathing, which is saving the people with COVID who are not yet on the ventilator. So they're getting there. They're on their back. They're in the hospital. The breathing's getting worse and worse. This thing's creating havoc in the lungs. All sorts of fluids and blood clots are starting. If you've seen these lungs, they're scary looking stuff. We need to get the junk out. So the gravity is pulling it back to the back where all of this oxygen transfer potential is. The largest oxygen transfer arena is in the back. So doctors are finally figuring out if they flip these patients over, not only is the back able to move now because the shoulders aren't, when you're on your back, you're trying to make it breathe like that, and the shoulders are just closing it off, right? So we can, while we're healthy, and before we get on a ventilator, saving these people from having to go on the ventilator, and they stay, they don't have to go on the ventilator. And we know that once they get on the ventilator, the only thing that's going to save them there are these steroids, these corticosteroids. So that's an interesting thing too. We'll talk about that in our other series on COVID. So that is a huge breath. I used to talk about cups. If we had cups of breathing, right? We have 2 cups of breath that could go in there. 2 cups spread all over a doubles tennis court for men and a singles tennis court for women. A lot of surface area. And 2 cups of oxygen. That's plenty of oxygen. That'll do it. So let's pretend it's like 2 cups. So that's about 1.25 cups. If we only have 2 cups capacity, 1.25 cups. Wow, well, where do I get the rest of it? I'm breathing on top of that. Another almost 2/3 of a cup. And then what we usually work with, 1/3 of a cup. Not much, not much in this evolved breath. Now we're still evolving. So this will, and I'll tell you, I give this example often. I can't really take any more in, but if I sing, la, 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 it feels like this is just expanding outward. That's evolution. That's an evolved, this is our evolved breath. And when we sing, And I was thinking this morning, I'll share this story with you because I was an opera singer for many years and I was always controlling it. I tried to make it free and tried to make it natural and tried to, be expressive. And I did a pretty good job of it. But it was when towards the end of my last major opera role was a Mozart role down in Dallas, major company, major role. One of the most difficult leading ladies in the repertoire, Vitalia, in Clemenza di Tito. It was a soprano role. I wasn't even a soprano. I was a mezzo, right? And so I was asked to make a demo tape. And I had the summer to work on this demo tape and of the main arias. And if you heard these things, they're on YouTube. They are pretty off the chart accurate, right? And it was from those tapes I got these roles. And I'm continuing to breathe as I tell you this story. So that's important. It's important to schedule in our breaths, especially when we're talking. I just did a 30-minute lecture on COVID that I filmed. And, after a while, I'm just blabbering, still talking about the topic, but not really breathing consciously like I should. But during singing, I have to do that. And I'll talk about that. Maybe I'll end with that example. So in preparing for this role, I was out a lot of little short or long, slow things on the boat. We had a boat up in a cottage up in Canada. And I was learning that thing. I was learning it during the day and looking at the notes and looking at the thing and trying to get the da-da-da-da-da. I had all these arias to learn. So I record them and get the role, which I did. And then I had a great success with the role. But I was singing against the air that was coming at me on the boat. And I remember the wind just blowing at me. I was singing into the wind as I learned these things. I got the role. I mean, it's hard to get a role like that. And it's hard to get a great review from that, which I did. So that's a memory. That's how I learned it. It was kind of blowing against the wind. So what I'm saying is that the messaging of humans, we've broken it down into speaking, which is kind of, we need to revisit all that talking we do and maybe take a look at the singing, because that's how we have evolved, standing up and messaging to each other without speaking, messaging. So that's that example. Another example, and we'll talk about this in another one, is stock loading breath. Con la di Costanza, breath. Alza il suo volo amor, breath. Con la di Costanza, con la ah, ah, Costanza. Something like that. So I stock load them. And then you have a long run of something, and I feel a little dizzy. And, I haven't sung that thing in a long time, but that is a stock loaded breath and phrase from stock loaded. So we map out, take a lot of breaths where you don't really notice we take it. And then you're like, how on earth does she hold her breath that long? Stock loading. Not too many singers know about that or teach it, but I do, and other things about singing too. Bless you all. Have a great day. And that, my friends, is a breathing lesson. Be blessed.